Kate Daly Show.
In the cavern, in the canyon, excavating for a mine, lived a miner, 49er, and his daughter Clementine. Oh, my darling, oh, my darling, oh, my darling Clementine, you are lost and gone forever, dreadful sorrow.
All right. You know, I'll play those kinds of songs on this show. So, welcome back. I've got Uncle Milty. We have Mel Madison, and I'm loving that. And I love that both of these guys are here. Also, text Birch Gold and buy some gold and silver, please. They can also tell you how to get $10,000 worth of free gold and silver. You might want to check that out. Also, when you text them, you're getting information from them. So it's the number on your text. The phone number is only 6 digits, and it repeats 989898. And then you just text my name, Kate, and they'll know exactly why you're texting them. They'll send you back some free information. You don't even have to talk to anybody. They'll just send it back to you, and you can peruse it. Do that right now for me. I really am encouraging you to do that because the information is that good, and I'm not going to tell you to do something that wouldn't benefit you. So I'm telling you, Birch Gold is amazing. Please do this one thing. 989898 and text my name, Kate. All right. Do you have an acronym?
No, not quite.
Okay, he's working on
I'm working on it.
the GONAD acronym. Leave it to Milty. Okay. So, all right, Mel, let's continue on, shall we? So my question to you on the break, I'll share this, everybody. We don't know if Bitcoin was a CIA op that they were eventually going to control because we don't really know where the origin of it came from. And it's this mysterious gentleman who nobody really knows and yada, yada, yada. And so my question to you, and we do have a caller, so I'll take the caller first, but keep this in mind, Mel. Are they pretending they don't have control, so they're putting the bill out to make it look like we still have the society we think we do? Or do they seriously not control it? What's your view on that? But let me take the caller first. Hi, caller. Go right ahead. You're live.
Hey, good afternoon. You were talking about gold, and I certainly recommend anybody with a brain, which you were talking about earlier, those people with brains that have the capacity to reason, to put these physical metals in their hand. Now, I know that the government passed a law not too long ago that they had the ability to seize any assets in any banks or any other stock brokerage account. I wonder, why would anybody then in their right mind put their gold or silver into a storage facility, which would be a whole lot easier for the government to seize, as opposed to 300 and some odd million people's dresser drawers under their mattresses out back in the mason jar, or, cast it into some kind of an ornament and put it out in your garden. They won't know what it is.
There you
paint it all looks like, ceramic.
There you go. Hey, not bad. Not bad. All right. Mel, you want to tackle?
Well, no, I think it's an excellent point. I've made my first, I wouldn't call it super significant, but fairly large purchase of physical gold and silver, about almost 20 years ago now. I've always been a proponent of owning physical.
Yes.
Because you never know what's going to happen. They have these ETFs where they claim the gold is there. Well, these are in these vaults where they do leasing, and they'll tell you they don't do that, but how do you know? You don't. And the thing with, owning the physical, I mean, people could come back and say, well, in 1933, the government banned gold and confiscated it. Well, that's true. They passed a law, but they didn't get it. You had to voluntarily turn it in, and it was punishable by up to a year in prison, but most people didn't turn it in.
Right.
And you say, how do I know that? Because after the fact, they did studies. They knew how much gold the United States had minted. They knew how much the gold the United States collected and then melted down. And it was like 20-25% of what they would have got if all of the gold was actually turned in.
Yeah.
So people held onto their gold, even in the United States, passed a law and told them they couldn't.
What else do you want to say about this bill and about the economy and what's going on right now?
Well, just to come back to your first question before the caller about who owns Bitcoin or who's behind this. I think it's important, especially when you're talking about finance stuff, like, what's going to happen to the S&P 500 tomorrow? I don't know. You got to admit when you don't know something. I don't really know who created Bitcoin. I don't know if it was the CIA. I don't know if it was the NSA. I don't know if it was this Satoshi Nakamoto or some computer genius. And here's the thing, like nobody I think really knows, or the people that do are deep in the deep state, and they're they're
There's
the
no
enemy.
way to know.
So so nobody really knows, but I think
it is.
what a bill like this shows is it shows that one way or another the government's going to control it, right?
Yes.
When the government gets their hands on 1 million Bitcoin, and only 21 million Bitcoin can ever be produced according to the protocol, supposedly. But when you get your hands on such a large amount, that's 5%. Imagine if the government just held, look, they don't have, there are hundreds and hundreds, there's like a quadrillion dollars worth of wealth out there, but the government can totally manipulate the world's economy by printing $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there. You don't need to control the whole thing. If you control 5% and you can buy and sell 5% at any time of Bitcoin, you control the price. Now the government controls it. So anyone who's a true Bitcoiner who believes it was created to develop an alternative to the current monetary system, the last thing they should want is for the Federal Reserve and the Treasury to control the largest stockpile of Bitcoin. And I think that differentiates between like people that believe in the ethos of Bitcoin and people that just want the price to go up so they can sell it and buy a new house.
We have a quick caller. Go right ahead, caller. Make it fast.
Yeah, I'll try to. Mel, would you talk about the source of inflation? The vast majority of voters voting for either Trump or planning on voting for Trump or Biden don't understand it. These two presidents gave us 24% decrease in the value of our dollars since 1920 or since 2016. Would you talk about how inflation is actually the increase in the money supply? The increase in money supply is mainly rooted in out of control spending by the Federal Reserve, by the Congress, and that is paying for the debt, and that actually Trump inflation was twice as much as Biden, and they're both two of the worst presidents.
But Biden's not running. It's Hormala. But go ahead, Mel.
Sure. So look, you're being generous by saying it created a 24% inflation because that's the government statistics. I'm sure you would agree with me. Those statistics aren't right. The true inflation in the last 4 years is much more than that. Look at home prices. Look at grocery prices. It's somewhere 30, 50, 60% in the last 4 years. Right. So yes, they destroyed half the value of the dollar in a matter of years. Now, how I look at it, and this is going to be a great guest you have coming up from the Mises Institute, Kate. They're going to talk about this. Mises, Thursday. For people that don't know, he's an Austrian economist who essentially brought back sound money economics into this crazy left-wing progressive economic milieu that existed before him. And he said he basically brought it all down to the money supply. So, I mean, this gets into the Federal Reserve used to have people in charge who cared about the money supply. They don't care about the money supply anymore. They talk about what they call Odyssean and Delphic monetary policy. This is it's all about what they say. If they say that they're going to cut rates, it doesn't matter if they cut rates or not. Whatever they say, it's Odyssean. It's about the journey, and it's Delphic. It's about prophesizing. They don't look at the money supply. The money supply is what determines inflation. That's what the Mises Institute is all about. And, if you look at the money supply, it spiked massively with all the COVID printing. And then it had a little dip. When something goes up as much as it did, it has this little dip. We had that little dip about a year ago, and that's why inflation is back down. But about a year ago, the money supply started increasing again, but it happens on a lag. And this is why in 2025, it doesn't matter who's president, it doesn't matter what their policies are, the money supply started growing again about a year ago. Inflation is dipping because money supply started dropping about 2 years ago. That's why inflation went down. The money supply, it leads, and that's what tells you about inflation. It's very simple. How much money is there? More money chasing the same amount of goods and services, you get inflation.
There you go. Milty?
It's sad.
It's sad. Thank you.
But I have the acronym.
Okay, what is it? We got to go to break.
We're going to gender opportunity and normalization of androgynous dismembering.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for making that appear beautiful. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Be right back. Kate Dalley.
Approved.
There you go. How will you keep your yard healthy this summer? Follow these simple